Now man, occasionally Richie gets to play with some cool RC toys, and I think this tank with almost semi-real smoking exhausts is well up there with the absolute best of fun I have had in quite some while. But anyhow, keep watching to see just how much fun this thing is. Well, Richie, and in a very cold Northern California day, I would say to you, to use that expression, is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it Superman? No, courtesy of B-Wine, it is the Q111 Crawler multi-tracked vehicle on here. I've been fancying something like this to play around with the yard for quite a while, and I think with quite a few of us still having a few restrictions around where we can go, this is the ideal toy for me to test at the minute. So many thanks to B-Wine for sending this one out for us to test. So what do we get for our money? Well, we get a crawler, which you would think with those tank tracks should motor over anything, but we're going to test that around the yard very shortly in this video. As I understand it, we've got fully proportional control on here, plus quite a high level of suspension movement in these tracks, and quite possibly this one has a little party trick up its sleeve. But the one thing I did notice, when it says environment for driving, you can drive it indoors, outdoors, smooth all rough surfaces, but only use it in good weather conditions. So there is a high chance this isn't fully waterproof, so don't go ploughing through a stream with it or anything like that. Anyway, now I did mention it might have a party trick up its sleeve. What is this little blue bottle for? Well, I need to read the instructions, but I have a very good idea. Speaking of instructions, oh, Q11 spray remote control truck. Spray? What's that about? Could that be to do with this bottle, Richie? Okay, there is our truck. Now in this box, you think it might be the charger. Well, it's obviously the battery, which actually comes complete with 2 USB chargers, which makes me think, is there another battery, possibly, already inside the track vehicle? And our transmitter, which to start with appears fairly basic, although it's made out of fairly sturdy plastic on here. Our throttle, reverse brake, etc. Steering on there. 3 AA batteries in the bottom to get us going, but more to the point, we have this button here, marked Smokin. What, like, is that like a speed button? No. Read the instructions, find out what this bottle's for, charge the battery, find out if you have another one in there. But in the meantime, I think we should get the camera down and have a closer look up around this baby. Now, a decent bit of weight in there for it being a track vehicle, probably about 2.5 to 3 pounds in weight at a guess on there. But quickly spinning around the vehicle, I think this thing is going to be able to motor over most things. Now in terms of suspension travel, has it got some? Oh yeah, we have got some articulation in there. So yeah, we have got quite a bit of suspension travel in there. So it does what it says on the tin, shall we say. Not a bad looking beast. I have a few ideas for trying this outside. Well, thought it a bit odd we've got 2 USB chargers and just 1 battery. That is because we do indeed have a second battery inside the tank already. And both these batteries are 7.4 volt, 1500 milliamp lithium ion batteries on air, complete with mini Tamiya connector on there. Let's talk about what that smoking button's for and what this little bottle's for. Looks like it unscrews. The top of this doesn't. You have to squeeze all the air out of it, put it into water, which is what it's filled with in a minute, and then let the pressure suck the water up into there. About 50 mils, gets the smoking function to run for about 8 minutes. Well, it's very firmly located under this gas tank. A little plug on the back there. I cannot thinking, when I had one of these as a kid, you used to put oil in it and it used to heat the oil up and squirt it out as smoke out the back. As I was moving it just then, I did notice our little gullwing doors lift up on either side on air, so you can even squeeze a little G.I. Joe figure in there, I guess. You can drive around with it like that. My thought is you don't necessarily want to do that over super rough ground in case it takes a tumble, although it's doubtful. Yes, it's about 3 pounds in weight, combined with low centre of gravity, should mean it's not flipping over. Anyway, let's go see how that first battery's charging. And we appear about all set to go. I'm actually loving those LED lights at the minute. Anyway, now let's have a look at the back lights. Occurs to me though, Rich, we should just use this. And check out the tail lights, which don't actually appear to be working in this instance. But let's try that smoking button. that. I take it all back, the taillights are working, and that does do, like it's smoking like a real tank would do. Just absolutely awesome on there. I guess that's just blowing out fine steam or something. Absolutely awesome. I was not expecting that at all. Anyway, I think it's time we went out and tested how well this thing really drives. Check out this on full throttle. Did that just wheelie? Anybody that's thinking this is just toy grade, think again. Guess you'd be wrong about that. Well, first of all, we're going to give it a little test on blacktop like this. Test it out on some loose gravel like this. Trail conditions like this. We're going to see how it handles grass. If it'll take a jump. The answer to that would be a yes then. Well, let's start off on a nice hard surface. And it does indeed want to wheelie. It'll corner flat out. But this is not where it's really designed for. Brakes pretty well in reverse. About half the speed as it goes in forwards, but I do like the fact it has enough power to wheelie off the line. Anyway, let's see how it makes the transition to grass at speed. In fact, how does it get on at grass? Well, slowed down slightly, but it is still monstering through that, and will corner flat out without any problem. Now it should climb over pretty much anything. Too funny, all of my sprinklers have come on, as we've narrowly avoided getting soaked on the lawn. Set off-road a bit. Now, this is probably steeper than that, coming up on that 30 degrees. So if you want to get it to climbing, I think we're going to have to add more weight in the front to keep it down, because I'm not putting, if I give it full throttle, it'll simply flip over backwards. But I guess once we get going, we're going to get up there without any problem at all. And once we've got room to give it its head of steam, controlling on it is really, really good. Very accurate indeed with this radio on there. And the fact you can simply turn it on the spot to come back around the same way, absolutely outstanding. It's a great amount of fun. This is a lot more fun than I thought it would be, I have to say. And man, it flies along. Takes a bit of a knock. Loving that light scheme. Man, this is way, way more fun than I thought it would be. A little bit of care going over stuff, but I think the speed that thing's got is just ridiculous. Sorry, just too funny. And the controlling on it is really good. The steering is absolutely excellent. And in fact, you can just turn it on the spot like that, just by holding the steering down. Very, very good indeed. Now, as I say, it's got quite a bit of power. If I give it full throttle coming up there, I think it'd be wanting to go over backwards. Yeah, like that, it's launching. So you've just got to be aware of the handling traits it's got. But overall, I have to say, the handling is just nuts. Now, very few cars I've got will go through this mulch at all. Yeah, this thing is not doing too badly at all. Now, I have to say, the suspension on it actually works pretty well. Doesn't get kicked around a lot. There's an immense amount of torque in it, so much so that it is wanting to wheelie. So coming up this steeper slope here, I'm having to watch it. If you wanted it to climb a serious angle, you might need to put a bit of weight on the front. I'm not quite sure where you would put that in, but anyway, I think it's time to test this thing on some gravel. Anyway, how does it handle on loose gravel, which is the big test for most cars, including crawlers? Well, suffice to say, this thing is not troubled by gravel at all. I've not had anything that works as well over gravel as this thing. Now, I've driven all sorts of RC cars, from very, very small micro cars to huge monster trucks, 1/5 scale cars and things, but the fun level on this thing is actually very hard to beat. It has taken me back a little bit. I wasn't expecting it to be anywhere near as good as it is, the handling on the thing is actually pretty sublime. Yes, it's not waterproof, but I have a feeling with a little bit of work, you could probably make it waterproof, which you might consider doing, as there appears to be just 8 screws holding the body on there together. Well, I have to say, at the start of this review, I was not entirely convinced by this thing, but I felt the weight of it and I thought, well, that feels a pretty good weight. I don't think that's going to struggle with traction. And then when I nailed it last night in the coming out the garage and the thing wheelied, I thought, Rich, I think we might have a winner on our hands here. And that smoking feature out the back, thanks to this little bottle, which all you do is fill with water, remove that jerry can and squirt it in there. Absolutely awesome to my mind, and a great fun effect whether you're kids or adults alone, because I love that kind of thing. Because when I was growing up back in the day, my dad bought me a James Hunt Formula One car which had that same smoking effect. So I used to put oil in that to get that same effect out on there, and I wondered when it said, oh, this thing does smoking for 8 minutes, I'm thinking smoking, no, surely it can't be, but it can. It's an absolute bonus effect to this car. I was skeptical on the suspension on this thing. When it said full suspension, this thing will just plow over and through just about anything. Lighting kit is great, both front and back, although the lights don't come on at the back unless you've got the smoking feature on. As you might gather, I'm quite enthused about this. In fact, this is probably one of the best RCs that I've tested under the current COVID circumstances, which is a great deal for this from BY. We'll link to it below the video, and a big shout out to BY, because I was a little bit skeptical of taking this car on to review, but this thing, it absolutely gets the Richie thumbs up. Well, thumbs up if you like this video, guys. Post any comments you might have in the comment section below the video, and hit the circle below to subscribe. And if you do hit the circle, don't forget to hit the bell.